Hello and good morning. Happy Sunday, beautiful people. It is so very good to be here with each and every one of you on this very first Sunday of 2021. Happy New Year
Happy
again.
New Year.
For those of you that we haven't had the opportunity to wish Happy New Year to, Happy New Year, Happy 2021. It is good to be here on this side of 2020. Well, let us begin because we have an awesome service ahead of us. Let's begin with prayer as we always do. And so I invite you in this moment to just take a deep breath in. Take a breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. And again, we take a deep breath in and out through our mouths. And I invite you in this moment to affirm with me, I am here now.
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 There is one mind, one power, one presence, one love, one good, one joy, one freedom, one divine cause, one creative intelligence that is working in all, through all, and as all. It is working in you, through you, and as you. It is working in me, through me, and as me. I choose to call this power and presence Mother, Father, God, for it is the beginning and the ending, and it is that which creates all things. It is that thing which thought and conceived of me and called me good. It is that thing which thought and conceived of you and called you good. We are one with it and one of it. It is right here, right now, neither comes nor goes. And that oneness remains and remains and remains. And so it is out of this awareness of our oneness, it is out of this awareness that God is and God is right here, right now, that I speak this word of faith and I speak this word of truth, knowing that this time together is a time of illumination and transformation, knowing that this time is a time that transforms our hearts, our minds, that transforms our thinking, knowing that this time is a time that supports us in creating new molds, new patterns, new ways of seeing, being, and believing, and knowing so that we can live victorious in this year. I am so grateful and thankful for the possibility and the capability that is within us to live victoriously. And so we embark on the journey right here and now, saying yes to it, saying yes to all of it. And with joy and thanksgiving, I release this prayer. Together we say, Amen.
Amen.
Ashe.
Ashe.
And so it is.
So it is.
I had to remind myself for a second, this is a short prayer.
Yeah, short prayer.
It was about to get going. All right. Well, again, good morning and happy Sunday, beautiful people. It is so good to be here with each and every one of you. Happy New Year. We are excited about today's service, and we're just going to get right in. We have some announcements. But before we get into the announcements, I do want to say hello to any and all of our first-time guests. We see you, we love you, we appreciate you,
Welcome.
and we welcome you. Yes, and so if you're joining us for the first time, we would love to stay in touch with you. You see the information here on your screen. Just text the word welcome to 347-472-1078. Just the word welcome, no additional information, signatures, emojis, etc. And you will receive an automated reply with a link. Click that link, enter your information, and we'll add you to the mailing list. We have a weekly email that goes out that'll have a lot of information, some of the things that we're going to share today, but more importantly, it'll have the links, which are always very important. But again, we're happy to have you on this first Sunday of the new year, and I pray that you will continue to journey with us in the Sundays to come. So actually, let's get into today's announcements. Well, one thing you will learn about us here at CSC is that we believe in prayer. We practice prayer in so many deliberate ways. And so if you have a prayer request, we are open and available. You can simply send that prayer request to prayerchampions@celebratioSC.org, and we will know the truth with you. What's most important is that when you send that prayer request, that you see and feel yourself releasing whatever that thing is, right? And it's important that you see and feel yourself releasing it, because it's through the release, it's through the letting go, it's through the surrender that then we make ourselves available to actually receive downloads, insight, information, guidance from God in you, because prayer is answered through you. I don't know if you knew that.
Yes.
Right? So we're not praying for God to come down or show up and show out, but we recognize that we're praying to align ourselves with where God already is.
Yes.
Right? In the answer.
In the answer. Always in the answer.
Yes, yes. Beautiful. So with that, we're also excited because we normally do, we have a weekly prayer that we normally do every Wednesday morning. But when we begin the year in January by expanding that prayer, and so we're going to be praying every morning. Monday through Friday at 7 a.m. All the information is here on your screen. Definitely lock it in. You want to be here. We share a reading, and then either one of our prayer champions, or Pastor Yolanda and myself, will lead the prayer. The prayers are recorded, so you see the playback information there. You can absolutely access the most recent prayer 24/7 at any time. Just dial that number. You don't need a code. You don't need anything else. The most recent prayer will play. So we absolutely look forward to being on the phone with each and every one of you at 7 a.m. every day this morning.
And it's a beautiful opportunity if you're thinking about part of your B statement, your beatitude is increasing your spiritual practice and being connected to source and all that goodness. Why not use this opportunity every morning, Monday through Friday, to join us in prayer and let that kick off your spiritual practice?
Yes, 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 yes. Another thing that we love about CSC and being here at CSC is the God Talk. The God Talk is something that was created to support and create a space for questions. We recognize that many people are coming to New Thought and to metaphysics for the first time. You may be coming from a more traditional Christian background, or even if you've been reading a lot of books or reading Abraham or The Secret, there's an application that's required, right? And so we recognize that there are many questions that you have. You may hear something in a sermon, and as I love to say, but PG, you don't know my life. Like,
right.
That sounds good and wonderful, but here's what's going down up in my world. And so we get to support you in applying, understanding, and using metaphysical principle. It has been incredibly beneficial over the last 10 months or so, as we've been in the pandemic, to be able to have the God Talk and have it virtual, so that so many of you who have been journeying with us and streaming CSC for many years are able to be a part of something that's normally only available in person. So if you would like to be in the God Talk, you need to be on our mailing list so that you can get the Zoom link and password. So for our first-time guests, you'll see the information again, but you can text the word welcome and join our mailing list. Let me just put that on the screen. For our first-time guests, you can text the word welcome to 347-472-1078. And then you'll be on our mailing list. You'll get that Zoom link and password so that you'll have it. I think I should also note, for those that are already on our mailing list, we did create a new link for 2021, right? It's all about intention, right?
Right, intention.
So we ain't using the energy of that 2020 link. We have a 2021 link. So keep your eyes and ears open for this Friday's email. You'll see that new information, and that will be the link that we use for the remainder of the year. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Beautiful, beautiful. So I think that's all in the way of announcements for today. We didn't want to overwhelm you, but we'll have plenty of more announcements next week and in the weeks to come. So with that, it is our time to go within. It is our time to get still and let God love us. And PY, it will lead us, as she always does, so gently and masterfully.
Well, it is definitely time for meditation. We spent New Year's Eve together. We released some things together. We opened up and decided who we want to be in this coming year. And all of that is rooted in something. It's rooted in an understanding that we rest in God, that in all of our being, we rest in God. In all of our doing, we definitely rest in God. And as I like to say, we have studied so many texts, ancient and modern texts, and we are always on this journey of receiving new insight, new information. But if all you're doing is reading, if all you're doing is finding beautiful phrases in whatever sacred text, if you don't have the direct experience of God, then it is just information. And so when someone says to you, I rest in God, there's a knowingness in that resting, because they've had an experience of what it feels like to let go and allow God. We rest in God in all of our doing, and we rest and wake in God in all of our being. So let's practice this month. Our affirmation for our meditative time: I rest in God. Go ahead and get yourself comfortable. Whether you are seated upright on a sofa, upright in a chair, upright in your bed, make sure that you are comfortable. Go ahead and make sure that the seat is nice and relaxed. Maybe look around the room and notice that you are in your home and you are safe. But you're at home in God. So from that place of knowing that we are at home in God, let's close our eyes. And in closing our eyes, we testify to the truth of what we rest in. We make our way to that inner sanctuary where we rest in God. And from this place of closed eyes and open heart, just notice the breath. No judgment of whether the breath appears to be deep or appears to be shallow. Just notice where it is. And with each round of breath, we go deeper into our awareness of what is breathing us, what we rest in. We rest in God. Just notice for a few rounds. Maybe you notice how the breath feels as it enters the nostrils, how cool it feels. And as it circulates in the body, it is slightly warmed. And as you exhale, you feel that warmth, that power, that presence that is signified by the breath. And now, let's take conscious control of the breath, of our awareness, and of our bodies. Bring your focus to the low belly. And on a count of 4, inhaling and exhaling, breathe in for a count of 4. Inhale now. Hold at the top for a count of 4. Open the mouth and release nice and easy, count of 4. Again, in through the low belly, count of 4. Hold it at the top, count of 4. Open the mouth, relax the jaw, release, nice and easy, count of 4. Beautiful. Let's extend that breath and that belly. Inhale through the low belly, up through the rib cage, nice and easy, count of 4. Hold at the top. And release. Feels good to have the breath flowing in through the low belly, up through the rib cage, expanding the front and the sides and the back of the body. Hold it there. Open the mouth, relax the jaw, let it all go. And take the deepest breath that we've ever experienced in this moment, inhaling in and up through the heart chakra, center of the chest. Hold it there. Relax the jaw and open the mouth and release. Again, inhale in and up through the heart, expanding across the chest when you get to the top, relaxing the shoulders down, holding it there, new set point, new reality, and release. Beautiful. Let's practice that full, elongated, relaxed, connected breath in through the low belly, up through the heart. And this time, close the lips and exhale through the nose. This will be our form of breath for the remainder of our meditation, in and out through the nose. Each round taking us deeper. Each round of breath reminding us that we rest in the perfect presence, power, and peace that is God. We rest not because of our understanding, but because of how we were created to rest. We rest in the joy of our being. We rest connected. We rest rooted and grounded. Let's send that energy of breath and connection into our feet so that we may surrender the feet. Feeling the energy gathered beneath the feet. Relax the feet. Whether we stand or sit or walk or sleep, we rest in God. As we rest, our breath moves, our body relaxes. We rest in the truth of our connection. Sending that energy that is gathered beneath the feet, the soles, the groundedness, sending it through the soles. Relax the ankles. In your mind, imagine the energy flowing up the shins and calves. Relax the shins and the calves. Our will is divine and our will is connected. We bend and allow. Relax the knees. Feeling the flow of energy across the thighs and the hamstrings, making its way towards the hips. Relax the hamstrings, relax the glutes, relax the thighs, and rest. Feeling the energy gathered at the base of the spine, imagining in our mind, giving permission in our mind. As we flow and the Kundalini energy rises, imagine each chakra open, available, as the energy flows up, up, up. Unobstructed, we rest as the energy flows up and out the crown of our head. Feel, imagine an unobstructed flow of energy circulating within and all around as we rest in God. When we rest, we give permission for our deepest self to emerge. Open and available, we allow the energy now that has collected above us to flow down through us. Cross the third eye, open and available. Open throat chakra. Across the shoulders and down the arms. feeling it flow out the fingertips. You decide, palms up or down. Up if you want to receive more, down if you want to rest and ground more. From this place of connection, maybe you just scan the body one last time. Notice if there's anywhere that you're holding on. Release, allow, and rest in God. As we prepare for our silent time, I will monitor the time. You take the inward journey. And if the mind wanders, it's okay. When you become aware, remind yourself, I rest in God. So let's rest in God now. I rest in something. I rest in the fullness that is God. And with our eyes still closed, we just notice how good it feels to rest, to restore ourselves to our original condition, to remember that we have been created perfect, whole, and complete, and we remain. That's why we rest. We are worthy of rest. We are loved and able to rest. We rest in God. With our eyes still closed, we take a mental picture. We remember the affirmation for the month. And any time this week where we feel disconnected or agitated or in a hurry, we close our eyes and we rest just for a moment. We take a breath. We remember what it feels like to know the truth, to be rooted in it, and to move in our life from a place of connection. Let's begin to bring ourselves back now with our eyes closed, taking the time to be, to remember, to ground. If the palms are turned up, go ahead and turn them down now, relaxing the shoulders, and begin the process of awakening the body, maybe rubbing the tops of the thighs and knees, maybe wiggling the ankles and the toes, fingers. Stop the movement and draw the shoulders up by the ears. Inhaling, inhale up. Release. Shoulders back and down, nice and easy. Again, inhaling up. Drawing the shoulders up by the ears, back, and slowly releasing them down. Last time. Inhale up. Nice full breath in and out through the nose. Beautiful. Stop the movement. Bring the palms together. Touching the thumbs into the sternum, right there, center of the chest. Pausing and noticing that the heart is still beating, that you're still resting in something powerful and true. Bow the chin towards the fingertips. Again, noticing the elongation of the spine. Elongation at the base of the neck and all the way down. Bowing, honoring the time that we have given ourselves and those who have come before us who also knew how to rest in God. Beautiful. Slowly flutter the eyes open, nice soft gaze. Inhale, raise the chin. Raise the gaze. Release the breath. Namaste.
Thank you, PY.
You're welcome.
Awesome. Well, we're going to do something a little different today. We are going to hear from Soul 21 next. And after Soul 21, we're going to go back to one of the last in-person sermons that happened just weeks before we actually went on pause, weeks before most of us ever took a COVID test or thought we would need to take one, weeks before we had masks and all of the things that have become our reality. In thinking about the series, Use the Truth You Know, which we had last month, this is a sermon that kept coming to mind. And what's interesting to me is how much this sermon was very preparatory for where we are now. And I think it's also preparatory for where we are in terms of the beginning of the year and supporting that question that we asked and that we answered in our B statements and our B attitudes. By the way, shout out to those of you who have shared your B attitudes. It's so awesome to see it and the ways in which you're using that exercise. So that's wonderful. So as we are living in this question, who do I want to be in 2021? What qualities do I want to express in 2021? I think this sermon is absolutely going to be beneficial. There are many of you that will be hearing this for the first time. And for those of us that were there, I think you will hear it anew, given where we are now and even given the appreciation of this was February 23rd when this message came forward. So we're going to hear from Soul 21, powerful song, which I'm excited about. And then we're going to go into the message. And I pray that it meets you right where you are.
And so this song is an invitation. It's a prayer of receptivity to open up our very hearts, our minds, and our lives and listen to what, as Reverend Michael says, the eternal broadcast is always broadcasting. There is something that love wants to do in, through, and as your life. But we must listen to the broadcast. I open up. heart and I listen. I open my heart. For the heart is the very altar of God. I open up my heart. I open my mind and I listen. Letting go of all of those false thoughts. Letting go of all of those limiting beliefs. I open my mind. I open my mind and I listen. I open up. Open up my mind. I open my very life and I listen. I make my entire life available to love. Available to this thing that is seeking to happen in, through, and as me. I open up my life. I open up my life. The heart is the very altar of God, for the heart is the place of love. And we know the truth, that God is love. And we know that perfect love casts out all fear. So as we open up our hearts, as we open up our minds, as we open up our lives, we are letting go of fear, we are letting go of doubt, we are letting go of worry, and we are singing, I open up. Hey, I open up. I open up. Let me just keep playing softly. I want us to live in the receptivity of this prayer.
Yes.
I open up my heart. Can we sing? I open up. I open up. I open up my heart. See, it's interesting, right? Many times we have an experience and we say, oh, that was such a heart-opening experience. The truth of life is we should always live with our heart open. That's actually our default position, to live with a heart open. But so often as we live this life, we are taught to create boundaries. And as we live this life, we're taught to block people out. And as we live this life, we've been hurt. And as we live this life, we live in unforgiveness. And as we live this life, and so we begin to close our hearts. But it is only through an open heart that you can hear the voice of God. It is only through an open heart that you can hear the voice of love. So be open. Yeah. As many of you know, we are in the second part of our three-part series, Working with the Law, using the book Working with the Law by Dr. Raymond Hollowell. And in the second part of the series, we've been looking at, in week 1, we looked at the law of receiving. In week 2, the law of increase. In week 3, last week, the law of compensation. And so this week, we're going to be looking at the law of non-resistance, something that we talk about often. But I believe that we will kind of hear it and see it through a different lens today. And so I'm going to take you, I think many of you know, if you from the topic, you may know what I was referencing, but we're going to go to the Gospel of Bruce Lee today. And in 1971, Bruce Lee gave an interview. It's on a short-lived TV show called Longstreet. And this is something, you can find this on YouTube. It's everywhere. People share it all the time, and there are lots of memes. But this was the only interview where he sort of crystallized the heart of his teachings, the heart of what he taught his students in Kung Fu. And he said this: "Be like water, making its way through cracks. Do not be assertive, but adjust to the object, and you shall find a way around or through it. If nothing within you stays rigid, outward things will disclose themselves. Empty your mind, be formless, shapeless like water. If you put water into a cup, it becomes the cup. You put water in a bottle and it becomes the bottle. You put it in a teapot, it becomes the teapot. Now, water can flow or it can crash. Be water, my friend." And this philosophy is a philosophy that's rooted in an awakening experience that Bruce Lee had as a martial arts student. And at the time, this wasn't clear, but we have, and it's been published, a lot of his writings, his personal writings and his poetry and letters that he's written. And he talks about this moment of awakening that he had when he finally understood this idea of be water, my friend. And he writes, "After spending many hours meditating and practicing, I gave up and went sailing alone. On the sea, I thought of all my past training and got mad at myself and punched the water. Right then, at that moment, a thought suddenly struck me. Was not this water the very essence of Kung Fu? Hadn't this water just now illustrated to me the principle of Kung Fu? I struck it, but it did not suffer hurt. Again, I struck it with all my might, yet it was not wounded. I then tried to grasp a handful of it, but this was proved impossible. This water, the softest substance in the world, which could be contained in the smallest jar, only seemed weak. In reality, it could penetrate the hardest substance of the world. That was it. I wanted to be like the nature of water." And here he was crystallizing for himself, explaining the moment that he had out on the water after a moment of frustration, as his teacher had been trying to teach him this concept and he wasn't getting it. And he kept trying and trying and trying to the point of anger. And his teacher said, "You know what, just go home and stop practicing." And so he went home, and that's where we start here where he says after many hours, he was sent home, and then after many hours of meditating and practicing, he was still frustrated. And so he's like, "I'm just gonna go out on the water." And there was where his awakening experience began. Now, again, we've talked about and teach the law of resistance, non-resistance in so many different ways. I invite you to go back to a sermon that I gave last year in the Way of the Master Metaphysician, Welcome Them In, where we were talking about this. We looked at the Tao Te Ching, and we looked at a poem by D.H. Lawrence. And we're going to take it a little step further today, but again, I invite you to go back to that sermon. Because like all spiritual teachings, this idea, be water, my friend, it wasn't new to Bruce Lee any more than it's new to us. This is the wisdom his teacher had given him, but a teacher can only lead you to the water. See, each of us must drink it to know it for ourselves. Bruce Lee had read and could probably quote the ancient teachings of Lao Tzu, but the moment he gave up and went out on the boat, that was when he began to embody the teachings. Because you see, this ancient Chinese philosophy, it was rooted in the teachings, Taoist teachings of Lao Tzu. And we read in the Tao Te Ching, verse 8, the best way to live is to be like water. For water benefits all things and goes against none of them. It provides for all people and even cleanses those places a man is loath to go. In this way, it is just like the Tao. Now, verse 78 of the Tao Te Ching takes it even a step further. It says, nothing in this world is as soft and yielding as water. Yet for attacking the hard and strong, none can triumph so easily. It is weak, yet none can equal it. It is soft, yet none can damage it. It is yielding, yet none can wear it away. Everyone knows that the soft overcomes the hard, and the yielding triumphs over the rigid. Why then so little faith? Why can no one practice it? And so we go to the text that we're studying this month and for the 3 months for this series, Working with the Law. Raymond Hollowell, in the early 1960s, echoes the same truth that Bruce Lee told us in 71 and that Lao Tzu was echoing in the 6th century. Hollowell writes this: water is very powerful, yet it is a perfect non-resistant element. We can see it where it has worn away the hardest rock. We have seen it sweep everything before its torrential outbursts. Bridges, buildings, trees. Nothing can withstand its force. Yet note how the great river begins. It starts with a small stream or brook high up in the mountains where the ice and snow feed it in the springtime. Does the little stream stop with the obstacle and wait for its force to build up so that it can push the opposition from its path? No. The little stream is not interested so much in the boulder or tree as it is in hurrying along and reaching a larger stream, a river, and then the mighty ocean. It does not waste any time with the obstacle, but quietly works its way around the interference and hurries on. It is urged to meet a river and then to be a part of the mighty ocean. Thus, we see that little stream wind its way round and round, many crooks and turns, but every turn takes it nearer its goal. 3 different sources, the same truth. Now, there's something that I love in what I just read. Hollowell says, it does not waste any time with the obstacle. This is the teaching right here. Now, we recognize and we understand as we've been going through the weeks and as we've been talking about the various aspects of the law, we understand that focusing on the obstacle, the problem, or the challenge will never get you the desired result. Now, why do we know that according to what we've been studying? Well, we understand first that we looked at desire and expectation. Desire draws and expectation connects, right? We also talked about this idea that we start with interest in something. Interest leads to attention, which leads to interested attention, which then fosters and boosts our expectation, and then it becomes a circle. As we have more expectation, we become more interested. As we're more interested, we pay more attention. As we pay more attention, we are more expectant of that thing. So if we are focusing on the obstacle, if we are wasting any time with the obstacle, we are misusing the law because we are putting our attention and our interest and expecting something that we don't want actually to experience in our lives. Yes, yes? Yes. The other thing I think that's interesting is that many times when we are focused on the obstacle, it's because we actually don't have a clear picture of what it is that we want. Because it's interesting here. He writes, it does not waste any time with the obstacle, but quietly works its way around interference and hurries on. It is urged to meet a river and then to be part of the mighty ocean. You see, that little stream has a goal. That little stream knows where it's going. It's going to the river. It's going to the ocean. So the boulder in its way is meaningless. The boulder in its way, it's just going to make its way around it. And so it's very interesting that we must consider that. That if we find ourselves preoccupied with the problem, the challenge, or the situation, or the difficulty, we can ask ourselves, do I even know where the hell I'm going? That might be why you're so focused on the problem. I remember seeing this principle played out. Many of you know that the teacher, Bob Proctor, if you've seen The Secret, you've seen Bob Proctor there, and he's a wonderful teacher. And there's something that I heard him say that I didn't understand when I first heard him teach this. He was talking about clearing debt. And he said, if you want to get out of debt, that's cool. He said, set up an automatic debt payment system and then go focus on making money. Now, I didn't understand that, but as I have over the years worked with many clients and supported them in getting out of debt, which is very easy to do, I found something interesting. Those who focused on getting out of debt, they cleared their debt, and years later they got back in deep debt again. Because the focus of their attention was on the problem. Yes, we clear debt. Do something, create a set it and forget it operation or process so that you're not focused on, I'm trying to get out of debt, I'm trying to get out of debt, I'm getting out of debt. Handle that, make sure it's automatic, as automatic as it can possibly be, and then put the focus of your attention on growing your income. Because what did we just say? Interest leads to attention. Attention, it creates our expectation. Our expectation draws more interest, and we create that flow, and then as we are increasing our income, it becomes easier and faster to pay off the debt. And so that's how the principle works. We don't waste time on the obstacle. We all have obstacles in our lives, but we put the focus of our attention on the goal. And so keeping our minds on the goal and on the objective, we read this in the text. If we go through life fighting, opposing, resisting, arguing, we are bound to meet with many obstacles and likely become so occupied fighting them that we lose sight of our real objective. If we are always getting steeled for the next opposition or trouble, we can expect plenty of it. Whereas if we strive to make a little of the obstacle and keep our minds on the objective or the desire we set out to gain, we may have to wind around and around, but if we persevere, we will ultimately win. We will reach the goal. And so keeping our minds on the objective, as I talked about many times, we're not even aware of what our objective is. What I know to be true is that I call this collateral imagination. We understand what collateral damage is, yes? In war, there's this thing called collateral damage, that inevitably some other things that were not the intended target are going to be destroyed or harmed. At the worst case, sometimes innocent beings, innocent humans are killed. At other times, it may be a school that wasn't the intended target or somebody's homes, and that's called collateral damage. Well, at the same time, I believe that in life there's something called collateral imagination. That when we experience something that's unwanted, when we experience an obstacle, when we experience a problem or a challenge, what that is actually doing is giving us a clue to what it is that we actually want to see in our lives or in our world. So the collateral imagination, in order to keep our minds on the objective and we're experiencing the problem, we can ask ourselves, well, what type of world do I want to live in? I've talked about this many times, that one of the tools that I use for myself is headlines I want to see. When I'm watching the news and it gets me pissed off, I realize it's because there's something I really want to see. So I have a document that I keep with me. I go back to it and I read it and I add to it. Because I realize if I'm reading something about 45, there's something else I really want to read about related to our president. So what are the headlines I want to see? If I'm reading about student loans and folks going into debt because of student loans, I realize there's something that I want to see. If I'm reading yet another story about how awful our healthcare system is, I realize then that I can write about the headlines that I want to see. If you're in a relationship and things aren't working the way you want them to work, or if you're dating and things ain't flowing the way you want them to flow, what type of partner first do I want to be in relationship? That's the first piece. And then what type of relationship do I want? It's your collateral imagination. It's giving you a clue into what it is that you really want. What type of employment do you desire? What type of employer do you desire to be? I find it very interesting, and it's wonderful. I know we have a host of entrepreneurs in the building, and it's beautiful to be an entrepreneur and have your own business. But one of the things I find that's interesting is we understand how this law works. Many times people choose to become entrepreneurs and talk bad about 9-to-5s. But if you're an entrepreneur, ain't somebody gonna work for you eventually? Think about that for a second. So in the same way, we don't want to become an entrepreneur because I can't stand working for anybody. Because if you develop that energy, and that's the energy by which you choose to start a business, guess how your employee is going to think about you and feel about you and work with you. This is law, this is principle. So we don't think of in this case, we wouldn't think of our job or our place of employment as an obstacle. We would say, what type of employer do I want to be? What type of environment do I want to create as an employer? What type of benefits do I want to offer as an employer? What vision and what values do I want to exemplify as an employer? Because if you don't have clear answers yet, this then is an indicator to any of these questions. It's an indicator to where your focus has been and why the obstacle seems so strong and so overwhelming. So we must define our North Star. That's really what this is. In the same way that the stream has the North Star of the river and has the North Star of the ocean, so we must do. Why do y'all think we read the mission, vision, and purpose every Sunday here at CSC? It's our North Star. And we're clear, PY and I were clear, before we knew most of y'all, before we opened the doors 7 years ago, that we needed to make sure that we put the focus of our attention on our North Star, no matter what. We put the focus of our attention on our North Star when there was only about 10 people here. We put the focus of our attention on our North Star when there was only about $10 in the offering. We put the focus of our North Star even when the vision that we had in our minds, which was this and more, we weren't experiencing that. We weren't seeing that. But we had our North Star, so then that allowed us to then wind like water does around the obstacles. That allowed us to wind like water does through the nooks and crannies. That allowed us to move forward, always moving forward to our desired goal. We're always embodying the how each of you must hold your own personal mission, vision, and purpose. I invite you, if you weren't here for that series or if you haven't seen it, we have 2 different series, MVP, Mission, Vision, and Purpose 1, and MVP, Mission, and Vision, and Purpose 2. And all of that is about learning how to craft, create, and embody your own personal mission, vision, and purpose. Right? See, CSC is just a macrocosm of the microcosm of your life. And so in the same way that you see CSC holding that North Star, you must define your North Star for yourself. And so we started, that was very early in our first year, we did that series because we wanted to make sure that we put that down, that folks could tap into that vibration of understanding what it means to have a mission, vision, and purpose and why it's so important on an individual level. You are your first organization. Each and every one of you are an organization, you're an entity. And if you do not define your mission, vision, and purpose, somebody else will. Now, Hollowell goes on and he says that resistance leads to friction. And this is what we read. Some people, unwise to nature's methods, set up a different one. When they meet an obstacle, they stop their progress to collect their forces and put up a fight to remove it. This resistance they set up causes friction. Friction causes an irritation and inflammation. For this reason, many people's lives are hard and exacting. The waste of human energy is appalling. People in every walk of life are breaking down and wearing out like obsolete machinery. But remember, it is not the movement of a machine that wears it beyond its use and service. It is friction. Friction is opposition and resistance. And when I read that line, people in every walk of life are breaking down and wearing out, it reminded me of the series we did in October, Well Not Woke. Because that's what this was all about. Right? That what we teach and what we embody here is that we want you to be well. Being woke has led people down some pathways that are leading them to be broken down and worn out. It's good to be aware, but if that awareness is leaving you to be broken down and worn out, maybe it's because you're practicing friction. And so it's interesting what we can do to then just shift that, just in the smallest way. I was reminded there's a conversation from an Abraham Hicks workshop. In May of 2003, Abraham said, if you do not meet resistance with resistance, it dissipates dramatically. It softens. Just try it. Next time somebody says to you, I'm right and you're wrong, say, you're right. You are right. And mean it. In other words, don't mock them. Don't be sarcastic or snarky. You're right. And then watch how all of a sudden their legs almost go right out from under them. They don't have the energy to blast you because you just took the fuel away from them. This is also the power of I'm sorry. You know, we talk about this idea often. Do you want to be right or do you want to be free? Yes. And that's what a true, sincere apology is really about. Even sometimes when that person did what you think they did, and even if that person was really wrong. Also, I recognize this is rooted in the idea and why we use and teach The Work by Byron Katie, the 4 questions of the work. It's rooted in non-resistance, this law of non-resistance. Byron Katie says, when I believe my thoughts, I suffer. To say it another way, when I believe my thoughts, I create friction. Because every thought that we believe is not necessarily true, and every thought that we believe, what we must learn to understand is that belief has everything to do with the meaning that we've placed on the event. The same event can mean 2 different things. I love this example. If your house was on fire and the firefighters came and doused your house and put out the fire, you would be happy that everything is soaked and damaged because they put the fire out. Yes, yes? But if there were no fire and those same firefighters came in and doused your house, you would be upset. Same process, same people, but it would have a different meaning based on what's going on. Now that's a rudimentary example, but we do this all the time. I shared, and I'll make sure we share it on our Facebook page. I shared it on my page, this beautiful article that's talking about some of the latest work that's been done in psychology now, really understanding that our emotions, we put the meaning on our emotions. And so we can change what each emotion actually means, which then changes the outcome of the experiences that we're having in our lives. And so in truth, believing our thoughts is an act of resistance. It's not being like water. Water doesn't resist. It doesn't matter what kind of ice cubes you have, trays you have. If you have Mickey Mouse ice cube trays, the water just becomes Mickey Mouse. It doesn't resist that. It might not feel like being Mickey Mouse today, but it doesn't resist that. It doesn't matter what shape cubes, you can have spheres, you can have more traditional cubes, you can have shaved ice. It doesn't matter, it becomes anything. It does not resist. Be water, my friend. And one of the other things I love, Bruce Lee, and by the way, if you're interested, the book is called Bruce Lee, Artist of Life. And again, it's a collection of his essays and letters and poetry, and really just laying out so much of his brilliant mind. Well, one of the other things that happened to him when he's out there on that water, he had an epiphany as it relates to this very thing around emotions. After he had punched the water and had this wonderful awareness, he says, suddenly a bird flew and cast its reflection on the water. Right then, I was absorbing myself with the lesson of the water. Another mystic sense of hidden meaning revealed itself to me. Should not the thoughts and emotions I had when in front of an opponent pass like the reflection of the birds flying over the water? This was exactly what my professor meant by being detached, not being without emotion or feeling, but being one in whom feeling was not sticky or blocked. It's one of the things I love that it embodies right here. We are not teaching or telling you that you should never feel anything. Emotions are good, from anger to joy, from depression to glee. Every emotions are beneficial and they're indicators of what we're thinking. See, this is the thing. Whatever emotion we're feeling, what's the thought that we've been thinking? This is why Byron Katie says, when I believe my thoughts, I suffer. Many times we're living in the suffering and haven't taken a time to look at, what have I been thinking? What is the meaning that I place on this situation that's caused me to suffer? Last point. I'm really almost done. I think that as we are in 2020 and we are in this beautiful election cycle, that the law of resistance is very important for us to understand and embody. And I was reminded of something that Senator Cory Booker would say often when he was on the campaign trail, and he said it from the debate stage, and almost any time he had a chance to be before a mic, he would share this idea that he would say, beating Donald Trump is the floor, not the ceiling. And what he was essentially saying is that Donald Trump and his administration is the obstacle, not the goal. Think about that for a second. If we make beating Donald Trump the thing, and that's our only focus, that's putting our focus on the obstacle, unlike water. So then what's very important for us to understand is that making efforts towards climate change, the Green New Deal is the goal, not beating Donald Trump. He's the floor. Not the, that's going to happen, right? If we put the focus of our attention on the goal, that's going to happen. If we persist, it's going to happen. Universal health care is the goal, not defeating Donald Trump. Equal pay is the goal, not defeating Donald Trump. Protecting women's reproductive rights is the goal, not defeating Donald Trump. Criminal justice reform is the goal, not defeating Donald Trump. We're going to be like water. Raising the federal minimum wage to $15 or more is the goal. Not defeating Donald Trump. That's small. That's the floor. That's a pebble in our way. But we're going to be like water, canceling student loan debt. Hello, somebody. Is the goal. Free tuition at public colleges and universities. That's the goal. Defeating Donald Trump and all of them other folk and McConnell, whoever, name anybody you want to name. We can make that the goal, and that's what so many people are doing. I get it. But if we understand how water works, if we understand how nature works, we must shift that. And so in closing, I just want to read again verse 78 from the Tao Te Ching. Nothing in this world is as soft and yielding as water. Yet for attacking the hard and strong, none can triumph so easily. It is weak, yet none can equal it. It is yielding, yet none can wear it away. It is soft, yet none can damage it. Everyone knows that the soft overcomes the hard, and the yielding triumphs over the rigid. Why then so little faith? Why can no one practice it? So the sages say, fulfill even the lowest position. Love even the weakest creature. Then you will be called Lord of every offering and King of all below heaven. Be water, my friend. Be water, my friend. With that, we say amen. Ashe. And so it is. So it is. Thank you, God.
Wow. Was I right, y'all?
That was perfect.
Oh my goodness. We sat up here and had church.
We sure did. It was
right
nice.
along with you. But again, this is a sermon that kept coming back to me throughout the year, and specifically last month. And coming to this Sunday, it was just clear that we needed to revisit this. We needed to hear it and hear it through different ears. One, there's the appreciation of, oh my God, look how supported we are and were by receiving that, even if we didn't consciously remember it all. It was in our subconscious, it was in us, and it supported us. But looking at where we are now, because, in truth, 2020 is over in terms of the calendar year, but the consciousness of 2020 and the conditions that created the events and experiences are still with us. And so we need that reminder. We need that understanding. And to our brothers and sisters in Georgia, everything I said about the election is absolutely appropriate, because there is an election happening this Tuesday. We are going to win the Senate. We are going to see John Ossoff and Reverend Raphael Warnock win this election. And that important piece about the floor versus the ceiling, or the Donald Trump being defeated, which he was, is the floor, and winning the Senate. All of that's the floor, because we put our goal, we put our focus of attention on what we're going to be able to create by putting those two powerful brothers in the Senate and changing the dynamics of power. I am just so grateful and so thankful.
There was just so much in that message. I asked PG, I was like, which Sunday was this? This was 2 weeks before we closed for the pause.
Yeah.
There was just so much in there. And the idea of creating your statement, your B statement. Who do you want to be? Your mission, vision, and purpose. All of that was in there. You guys been getting some good stuff.
And so I encourage each and every one of you, if you weren't able to make it to our New Year's Eve service, by all means, please go back to that video. It's here on YouTube. It's here on Facebook, so that you can go through that B statement exercise and create your B attitude, because that is what's going to support you in being like water, understanding that there will be obstacles, but you flow around the obstacles because you know where you're going.
Right. You have your North Star.
Yes.
You're not swayed by the obstacles. You just move around them.
Absolutely.
Beautiful.
Yes. So in this moment, it is time for giving, and we say something very simple: give what feels good here at CSC. You can give online at our website, celebrationsc.org/give, or you can text to give 347-744-9500. Now, why do we say give what feels good? Because we understand metaphysical principle. We recognize that giving is not about the physical thing, right? So often people think, and it's taught, oh, I give, or I sow $100 and I get $100, or I get $1,000, right? And that's not what's really happening. That may be what's happening on the external, but that's not what's happening metaphysically. That's not what's happening internally. And so it's important that we understand what energy we are putting into our giving. And so often, unfortunately, many of us have been taught to give out of guilt or shame. I mean, even charitable giving oftentimes is from a place of guilt. Oh, I have so much. I'm so fortunate. Let me
Right, that's
give.
not why we
Right?
give.
That's not the energy that's going to allow you to continue to reap, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. So we recognize that we must remove guilt, shame, duty, all of those things out of it and infuse it with joy. Your giving must feel good. It must be joyful and joyous, because when you do that, that is then what you are planting in the ground of your life. And in our minds, the ground of our life, that subconscious, is just like the physical earth. It doesn't stop you or judge you. If you were, I'm thinking about Earl Nightingale, which he always comes to mind in this moment. He said, you can plant nightshade, which is a poisonous plant, and the ground just gives you more nightshade. It doesn't stop you. It doesn't say, hey, this is poisonous, right? But you can also plant roses in that same ground, and it's going to support that. This is why giving what feels good is important. The energy behind the amount. And then what's interesting is then that's how that amount increases, right? And that's how you experience financial blessing. But it's not through duty. It's not through
guilt.
Yeah, obligation. It's not through guilt. It's not through shame. It's not through any of those things. And so when we give what feels good, when we give from that place, then we can affirm this absolute truth. All the money that I use
All the money that I use
returns to me multiplied
returns to me multiplied
in a never-ending cycle
in a never-ending cycle
of increase
and
enjoyment.
enjoyment.
Yes, yes. So again, we encourage you. We take a joyous offering. We appreciate all of the gifts and all of the donations that come to CSC, which supports us in continuing to broadcast live and continue to expand the technology and the things that we're able to do here. And also it allows us to support other organizations and other causes that we believe in, and as we recognize that we are here to embody unconditional love. And so we do that also through giving as an organization. Well, I think we have reached the end of our time together this Sunday. We love and appreciate you all.
Yes,
and
yes.
We pray that you just have an awesome Sunday and an awesome first full week of the new year. We look forward to seeing you again next week. We will be starting a new series that I'm excited about called Deep Roots. It's going to take us through March. It'll be a 3-part series that I think is just absolutely necessary, rooted in the African proverb, when the roots are deep, there's no need to fear the wind. And so we recognize that we must develop our deep roots in these teachings so that we can withstand the wind and not fear the wind. Some of us thought we had deep roots, and we need to see why we don't have deep roots. And for those of us, even if our roots are deep, we must strengthen our roots. And so this series is going to meet us wherever you may be in this moment as we continue to move through the experience of this pandemic, as we continue to hold each other, love each other, hold space for each other, and know that what our goal is and where the water is headed, and knowing that we will get to the other side of this.
Yes, yes. And continue to rest in God. Continue to remember that you are rooted in something.
Yes.
And if the winds and the waves be like water,
Yeah, absolutely.
rest in God.
Yes. All right, y'all. We love you. Bye for now.
Bye for now.